we'll be talking about data protection. And data protection is ready for prime time as a service, but are you ready to deliver it? We're joined today by Brian Babineau, who is Vice President of Research at the Enterprise Strategy Group, also joined by Doug Coe, Director of Strategic Alliances and Product Marketing at Asigra, and my name is Mark Campbell, and I am the Cloud Solutions Marketing Manager at NetApp. So before we get started on today's webcast, we're going to start off with a quick polling question.
All right.
So our question is, what is the biggest data protection challenge your customers face today? So just select one of the following. Is it backing and recovery of virtual servers, copying data off-site, backup and recovery, administrative burden, or something that's application specific like backing up Exchange or Oracle or SQL? Or is it moving from tape to disk-based backup? So we'll pause here for just a few minutes, let you read through these selections and submit your response.
And while everybody does that, this is Brian Babineau from Enterprise Strategy Group. I think it's important to contextualize, as we started the conversation today, Mark eloquently put, everybody knows that data protection is a viable part of IT operations today, almost like the insurance policy. However, the trends in the marketplace, as we'll go through, is how is it consumed and deployed is changing fairly rapidly as cloud computing and private cloud, public cloud computing become more popular, and how can it be delivered as a service to more of the marketplace, so IT can focus on other things. So it's a very interesting discussion, and understanding what challenges you have and where some of the new trends in computing can address those will help guide our conversation today.
Great.
Great. We post up some of the results here.
All right, if we look at the results, we see that the largest challenge, according to our audience today, is the administrative burden associated with backup and recovery. And that's followed by a tie between copying the data off-site and application-specific backups. And then last, or actually second to last, is moving from tape to disk backup. And we didn't have anyone that said they had some challenges with backup and recovery of virtual servers. Now I'm going to turn this back over to Brian in just a moment, but before I do that, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that at the end of the session today, we will be answering your questions. So if you have a question, please submit it through your question box on the GoToMeeting control panel. So if you have a question, just go ahead and type it in there, and we'll be looking at these questions and answer them at the end of the webcast. So thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Brian.
Thanks so much, Mark, and I really appreciate everybody participating in the poll questions. The administrative burden and the application-centric challenges are not surprising, given we have research that suggests IT staffs are, while there's a little bit more hiring going on, it's not nearly at the pace of data growth or of new project deployments. It's a very interesting. It's a very interesting phenomenon that happens across companies of large and small to mid-sized businesses all the way up to large enterprises. And then we'll go through a little bit of what else we see in the market trends and in our discussion today. And the first big thing that we see is what's going on in cloud computing. So there's a lot of confusion out there what defines cloud, what's a private versus public cloud. And at ESG, we tend to follow the NIST standards, the NIST standard definitions provided by a government agency here in the United States on cloud computing, where technology is delivered as a service, either through a dedicated, secure infrastructure back to a consumer over the internet, or a multi-tenant infrastructure. Now, it may come as no surprise that despite it being a hot buzzword, it's actually picking up quite a bit of momentum because of the benefits that cloud computing offers. We tend to not look at it as a macro topic. We prefer to look at it as what types of cloud computing services, whether it be software as a service, things such as Salesforce.com or NetSuite, or a host of others that are you're consuming that application over the internet as opposed to deploying the infrastructure within your own data center or data center that you manage. Just from our IT spending intention survey we run every year, exiting a year to look at what's happening in the next 12 to 18 months, 3/4 of organizations were planning to spend more money on cloud computing services. To give you an idea of what that means contextually, it's about 7% of overall IT budgets are being allocated to cloud computing services in 2012. If we take it a step closer, just about 60% are going to look at what we refer to as infrastructure as a service. So this is procuring compute capacity, storage capacity, data protection services. If you look at that increase from 2011 to 2012, you're starting to see the value, which I think was highlighted in our initial poll question, is one of the reasons the bigger reason driving people to cloud computing is cost reduction, and the biggest cost is, of course, operational and administrative. Where can we spend our limited staffing resources to deliver most of the business? And when you look at some of the infrastructure challenges, whether it be executing data protection operations, provisioning storage, or maybe building a test and development environment, all of which would kind of fall under this infrastructure as a service, there's no question that alternative computing consumption models are being evaluated, and it's certainly that the uptick on spending continues. Now, if we just want to take a look ahead, and I don't know how many of you on the event today have communicated with your customers about where they intend to go with cloud computing spending, but half of the folks that we talked to across the globe, it was a global survey executed in November of 2011, expected that 20% of their total hardware and software budget to be shifted to cloud services in the next 3 years. I think I was at an event yesterday where somebody said the global IT spend is roughly $580 billion per year. It's a small percentage of overall global GDP, but we start to break that down, and you start to see some of the numbers of how much of a budget gets shifted towards cloud computing services. It's a substantial number. This has implications on how budgets get allocated, where people purchase from, what service they look from value-add service providers, value-add distributors, and value-add resellers. You're no longer going to see a standard, I'm going to have a relationship and I'm going to continue to buy the same way for everything that I do in IT. So there's it is not a revolution by any stretch of the imagination. It's an evolution, and it will be a methodical one. But we believe that companies that are selling or integrating, providing solutions to their to IT buyers today have to start to evolve how they do business and how they deliver technologies to intersect that demand. When we look at, just want to give you a little bit of more detail. I know we're talking a little bit today on the infrastructure as a service of cloud computing. The biggest trend that we see here is the consumption of cloud storage. There's a lot of offerings in the marketplace today around primary cloud, whether it be online file collaboration, whether it be consuming capacity per gigabyte. It is an interesting concept for peripheral applications or peripheral file sharing needs. We don't think it's completely penetrated all of mission-critical, business-critical applications. However, when you ask companies where they're going to start looking at infrastructure as a service, cloud storage picks up. Notice there that disaster recovery starts to come starts to come online and into the market's focus just by thinking about using infrastructure that somebody else manages, whether capacity or compute, for disaster recovery purposes. We go a step further. You start to look at what's the use cases of cloud or consuming capacity, and data protection, archiving, and disaster recovery are the top three. This isn't a surprise as companies continue to get challenged of moving data off-site, storing large quantities of data for compliance reasons, maybe legal reasons. They don't want to have to procure that capacity and manage it on-site. They would like to have somebody else do it, or they want to rent that capacity for a time being. And of course, if we go to the top, data protection, like I said, is always a challenge. It's always budgeted for inside of companies. And with the massive data volumes, some companies that we talk to are in the 60 to 70%. Some people are in the 30%, but off of very large numbers like petabytes, even in small and mid-sized businesses. They just can't get their backups done, or they don't have the staff to get all of their applications protected appropriately. So think about cloud use cases and where the market's heading. If we look quickly at the infrastructure side, you start to see the storage use cases, especially data protection, as top of mind where people are thinking they can consume cloud. If we look at, and everybody believes that cloud computing is a small to mid-sized business phenomenon, and the reality is that the adoption models that I just went through are evenly split along large enterprises and small to mid-sized businesses. Just wanted to share with you kind of 4 trends that are happening there in alignment. We see a very healthy small to mid-sized business IT spend across the globe. Interesting enough, on the buying profile, we categorize our respondents in any survey we do into those that consider themselves technology leaders, followers, or laggards, meaning they wait for technology to be really mature before they purchase. And interesting enough, we're starting to see a competitive use of technology once again in the small to mid-sized business. Those more companies in the SMB are looking to aggressively adopt new technology and new technology consumption methods compared to their enterprise counterparts. We believe that this intersects with the cloud computing trends of how can they use it to generate more revenue, how can they reduce costs on the business process side more quickly. So you'll see much more spend out of those consumers that consider themselves leading edge. Unfortunately, though, in that buying profile, we still see approximately two-thirds of budgets being used to maintain existing IT infrastructure, which leaves only about a third for net new projects to either help the business, optimize process, or generate revenue. So we're hoping to see that budget allocation shift pretty quickly. Going towards why do we think, I know I keep using this word intersection. If you go to the right of the slide, you see top 2012 IT priorities for SMBs, and data protection, getting that better, is the top one, and it exceeds new app deployments, and it also exceeds the server virtualization phenomenon that's going on in the marketplace. We think that's purely because it's very difficult to keep up with data growth and to meet recovery point and recovery time objectives. How can we keep the business online without any data loss, which is as application profiles change, as you introduce server virtualization technologies, as you shift potentially from Windows to Linux, or you may introduce another hypervisor, getting the data protection right and getting it to a place where there's minimal data loss or downtime is very difficult for organizations under 1,000 employees. Everybody asks us about the cloud computing trends. I won't spend too much time there, but on the right-hand side, you can see from our IT spending intention survey how many are looking at cloud adoption trends, to increase their spending from a year-over-year basis. And we moved quite slowly, I would say, from the 2009, 2011 category, started moving, and all of a sudden we kind of start to see this leap where planned spending increases went from 16% in 11 to 26% in 2012. We believe that more offerings have come to the marketplace in the infrastructure as a service category that are more competitive, and people are starting to see what value they can provide. When it comes down to it, I think you start to see where the challenges are in small to mid-sized businesses in the infrastructure. You see where cloud services and cloud compute starting to mature. Companies are starting to get over the security hump. They're realizing the benefits of working with trusted service providers. The cloud, when it comes to data protection, allows you to get data offsite and introduce a disaster recovery or at least an offsite data protection strategy for many, if not all, of your applications. And as IT departments struggle to achieve service levels or improve them, they can do so with working with a provider that offers specific service levels and has remediation. I'll spend a little bit more time there. I think technology innovation has played quite a bit of a role. We spend a lot of time, analysts across the enterprise strategy group are looking at what technologies make solutions delivered in a cloud model or an on-prem model more palpable, more useful, that can change vectors of data growth, that can change vectors of service levels so that customers are more comfortable. And I think when you look at what's happened in the cloud specifically as it pertains to data protection, we've seen a lot of network bandwidth optimization, whether it be data reduction, data deduplication, so you don't have to send an entire copy over the wire. You can essentially shrink it before data gets sent to a target site. The recoveries are done similarly, where you can recover more granularly as opposed to recovering an entire file system, for example. So I know the folks, my peers here on the webcast, will go into a little bit more detail, but it's not all about, there has to be some level of innovation to be more comfortable with new computing methodologies, and we're starting to see that at an aggressive pace. And I showed you some ramp of technology adoption in the small to mid-sized business. A big catalyst for that has been the innovation that's been done by vendors like NetApp and Asigra to make it possible for service providers to offer a very competitive, cost-effective service in the marketplace. I think one of the common denominators here, as I went through, is you don't have, in order to get offsite data protection in a cloud service model, you don't have to own that second facility anymore. And if you work with somebody that gets, that is doing this for a number of organizations securely, they can achieve economies of scale. More importantly, as important, or I guess I should say, as important as technology innovation is technology choice. We're seeing a myriad of data protection options in the cloud. Our data protection analyst at ESG spends a lot of time looking at what these various deployment methods are. And Jason Buffington, who does that research for us, will tell you, there's appliances that can be installed on a customer site, and that helps move the data much more quickly, much more optimized. There's software that can be installed inside the application. There's application-aware software, so you can get Exchange level, a SQL Server level, or hypervisor level backups done, so recoveries can be done more granularly. There's deduplication that can be implemented at the source side, across the wire and the target side. The wire can be encrypted. Plenty of options in the marketplace, which I think from a customer standpoint, allows you to find that fit. I noticed one of our biggest challenges in our first poll was application-aware data protection. So you always want to make sure that an offering is competitive in the marketplace to customers, to small to mid-sized businesses and large enterprises, because they're looking for they have different requirements across their companies. And I think lastly, when it comes down to it, the most inquiries we get on cloud computing as an analyst firm is, what are the service levels and are they real? And I think the differences are, some people have service level objectives but will never put a contract in place. And more importantly, they won't have any remediations. Alternatively, you're starting to see those that have been in the business, and we recommend that those that get into the business are going to have put service level objectives in place. They're going to use technology to help them, and then they will put remediations. And that remediations go all the way back to the technology suppliers that are underlying the surface, or essentially underwriting the surface. And we expect customers to start to flow more towards the latter, where a provider does offer service levels and has a certain contractual agreement in place with remediations that can be achieved if a service isn't met. And more often than not, this makes people more comfortable working with the service provider. It also allows the service provider to differentiate themselves in the marketplace today. Examining that service level objective, in our spending survey, we definitely wanted to look at how important technology was. Anybody can publish a service level, as I mentioned. However, will you be able to support it? Does the underlying technology allow it to occur? Is it feasible to deliver? We always suggest that service providers do their diligence and customers do the same thing. If you're a service provider today, we believe that the underlying technology does make a difference, and we think customers are going to ask you that question. As you take a look at the statistics that I've provided, I want to share with you one more level of detail. If you look at those that said the underlying technology is critical to very important, it's about in line with those organizations that are currently using some form of cloud service. The way we look at it is those that have tried it have usually experienced the good and the bad of the cloud, and they've done their homework to figure out how they can get more good than bad. And that means they've asked their service providers for contractual remediations, as well as to understand what technology is under the hood, especially when you're working at the infrastructure as a service layer. If you look at those that answered our question, it says we're not really concerned too much about that technology. It pretty much lines up with those that are just starting with cloud services or haven't started yet, meaning they're the ones that actually haven't experienced the problem with the cloud, or they haven't had a service level unmet without any contractual obligation. So we expect as more companies look at cloud services and start to get in and using them, the response set here is going to shift to more critical and more important of knowing what technology is underneath the infrastructure as a service, or what's underneath the cloud offering. It just goes without saying that people want to know, especially technologists and IT people who are used to touching things, are going to want to know what the engine is. How good is it? How efficient is it? How is it delivering that service level that a provider has? We also think it's important for service providers to know and understand that technology can make a difference in this marketplace. Not all storage solutions, data protection software, bandwidth optimization solutions are created equally. So for those that are building a cloud service, our top recommendations are, the market trend is obvious, and there's a great opportunity here to intercept that. If you're going to market, understand where the value propositions are for customers. We offered a polling question at the beginning. We certainly agree that there's an application awareness and there's an operational burden inside of organizations, especially small to mid-sized businesses. If you can go in and have an educated conversation about how off-site data protection delivered as a service addresses those in your service is differentiated, which goes to my point number 2. Clouds, there's a lot to be said in a trusted relationship, especially as business models evolve in the IT marketplace. For those that are getting into the cloud service, we believe having a relationship is important, but also having the best technology, or the ones that can help you craft a service level that is defensible with your customers, is critical. You can commit to and execute upon service level objectives. This is the equivalent of if a value-added reseller goes in and sells a product today and it breaks, the customer relationship is fractured at some level. That is the same as a service level not being met in a cloud environment. All of a sudden, there's a fracture in the customer relationship. So what's going inexpensive or going with something that's not proven in the marketplace is a risk for that fractured relationship. Always go with something you trust, something that you know, and that's something you can build a service level objective on. We believe that at the end of the day, customers are going to look for what's under the hood, and is it able to deliver what you're promising. There's a great opportunity in the market out there. Like I said, 6 to 7% of budgets, depending on how big of a company you are, going to cloud. And off-site data protection is a tremendous use case right now. I can't tell you of any SMB, small to mid-sized business, that ESG hasn't talked to that has at least evaluated a service because of what we highlighted in our first challenge and our first polling question there. Just too much operational burden right now intersecting with data growth. So with that, I think it's important to turn it over to Doug over at Asigra to learn more about what they're doing here specifically on this market trend that we've highlighted.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate all the insights in the cloud market space here. So again, just a reminder to all the folks on the line here, Any questions you have, feel free to type those into the question box on the GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar control panel on your screens, and we will be answering your questions at the end of today's presentation. So let me just get my slides up. Okay. All right. So as Mark mentioned, I'm Doug Coe, Director of Strategic Alliances and Product Marketing here at Asigra. And before I get into some of the details about what Asigra and NetApp are doing with our data protection as a solution, as a service solution, really the goal of our solution is to help you as a service provider deliver a profitable cloud backup service. So before I get into some of the details, I'll give you a quick overview about who Asigra is and what we do. So Asigra, we're the cloud backup experts. We've been in this space for over 25 years. Even before the cloud was called the cloud, we're actually helping service providers and companies back up data over dial-up modems, many years ago. But really, in our focus today, we're really helping telcos, service providers, channel partners in delivering cloud backup services that are scalable, profitable, and really in alignment to your business model. And I really want to emphasize that because that's one of the key things is we're not just a technology provider, we are a business partner for you in this business as you are looking to deliver cloud backup services. We are 100% channel focused, so we see you as one of our partners in our channel. We don't sell direct to any end customers. Given all the channel partners that we have today, they have a reach globally on all major regions, over 550,000 end customer sites that are protected today using our software or using services that are based on our software. And we are recognized by a lot of industry insiders and analysts like ESG, who has actually done some benchmarking and lab tests with our software. So anybody who's interested in getting down and dirty in the technical details, there's a report by ESG on us there. We've also won awards recently, such as this year's Product of the Year for backup software by Storage Magazine, and we're recognized by folks like Gartner as well on their Magic Quadrant. Okay, so before I jump into the rest of my presentation here, I want to actually put up our second poll question. So I'll put that up right now. So the second poll question is, what challenges do you see in launching a cloud backup or data protection service to your end customers? So, I think this is definitely an interesting question. In our business, we've surveyed and talked to service providers basically on a daily basis, and there's a variety of challenges we see, as we see on the list here, delivering a secure service, the IT burden of managing a cloud or the end customer's environment becomes a very interesting challenge. Even developing a business case, we'll talk a little bit about that. Is how can we make a business case? Can we make a profit out of this? Reducing the backup software cost. That's an interesting one. We see that some of the traditional software licensing models aren't truly in alignment with the cloud model. And the last one, delivering on service agreements. I think Brian hit upon that. So again, getting your answers. And I'll close this off in about 10 seconds and review the results here. Okay, I'll give it another couple of seconds. And all right, that was the last one. Okay, let's get the results in. So just reviewing the results here. So it looks like the top one that's coming up is the IT burden in terms of managing the cloud and the end customers. And that's an interesting one. The second at 50%, so half of you see that as your primary challenge. The second one I see here at 33% is delivering on your SLAs and service level agreements. Again, I think that's in line with some of the things that Brian mentioned. And then 17% related to the cost of the software. So let's talk about some of these challenges that we've seen with some of the service providers, that we have talked to. Okay, so I think that is quite in alignment with what we've seen with some of the service providers that we have had discussions with. Clearly, delivering on the SLAs is one of the key ones, as Brian mentioned. I think not only is it about meeting your service level agreements, it's also about hitting upon the right SLAs for the right markets and price points. So, not only are you trying to deliver, you're not trying to deliver a SLA for, say, a mission-critical application like Oracle and deliver the same SLAs that you would, say, for a laptop device or even a smartphone or tablet that you may be backing up. So that's very important. We also saw and discussed the costs as a major factor in terms of the challenges here. And absolutely, we believe that, the cost of the software is important. It really needs to be in alignment with the cloud business model and not in a traditional model where you pay a lot of licenses up front. Given the fact that a lot of people see the cloud to be challenging in terms of competing with commodity services or not having that proven track record. And we've also seen people see the cloud as being a victim of their own success, that even when they grow their service, they're unable to scale with that. So as the service becomes more successful, the back-end operations may not scale properly, the back-end software or hardware may not scale properly, and they start to run into problems and become a victim of their own success. And then we also talked about, the top one, or top challenge is really around the administration burden. And that's absolutely the case when you're looking at some of the traditional backup solutions out there. They're higher touch at the customer premise, meaning you need to manage lots of pieces of software. There's a lot of maintenance windows, again, scalability issues, and also from the standpoint of taking a piece of a solution that's not designed for service delivery, trying to deliver a service around that adds a lot of administrative management burden. So what really happens in the marketplace when you run into these challenges? Well, what we see is a lot of service providers start making a lot of blunders and a lot of mistakes. First and foremost, we've already talked about this, they start competing on price. They see the consumer market, or they see that other vendors are putting a very low price out there, whether it be someone like an Amazon or a Mozy, and they start thinking price is the only solution in town. The other issue we see is losing control. And this is losing control of your environment. Again, the cloud is supposed to be on demand. You're supposed to be able to change a customer's end configuration, if they upgrade their version of Oracle, or if they need to add new capacity, or if they need to remove capacity. You need to be able to act and react very quickly. That's expected in the cloud. And if you can't do that with the right solution, you're going to lose control. Poor technology decisions. Again, that's related, right? Without the right software, without the right hardware, I'm not saying your service and your equipment's going to go up in flames, as in this picture, but again, you're going to have challenges in terms of managing a service or delivering the right level of availability or functionality or billing or whatnot to your end customers. Burdening the risk, that's another area we hear from our customers and from service provider partners is really, a lot of vendors might come up to them and say, we have great hardware technology. We have great software technology. You could build the cloud with this. But then you need to buy all this up front, and you're, as a service provider, really burdening all the risk. They'll drop the hardware in there, they'll drop the software in there, and then they'll walk away. And that's really not in alignment in how you're trying to grow a services-based business. So really this comes down to alignment with your partners. So if you choose the wrong partners, be it your hardware, your software, or your go-to-market partners, you're not going to be successful. And the end result is really going to be a half-baked solution, a lot of broken promises, and overall disappointment both for yourself as a service provider as well as your end customers. And at the end of the day, you're not going to have a revenue-generating or a profitable business. So what has NetApp and Asigra done to try to alleviate some of these challenges in the marketplace, within the cloud marketplace? So we really have come together to try to put a best-of-breed solution with our data protection as a service solution for service providers and telcos. So yes, we're taking NetApp's great storage platform and hardware, which is really built around storage efficiency and very tightly integrated management tools in the ONTAP operating system, as well as with Asigra and our cloud backup software, as well as our relationship rhythm, which is really, when we see this, is we don't see our relationship with service providers as a vendor-customer relationship. We really see it as a holistic relationship where we partner together. We help you deliver software, implement the software. We help you launch your service. We help you build out that service to launch. And after launch, we also help you build that service as well. Because in our mind, we're not successful unless you are successful. So if you could build out your business, that's very important. Now, as part of this solution, we have put together a lot of the best practices in terms of the hardware configurations, the software configurations, basically configured as a pre-packaged bundle, as well as the best practices in the design, the implementation, all to make it a much more turnkey as a service provider for you to roll in a data protection service and to get you up and running and accelerate your time to revenues to launch your service much more quickly. Furthermore, again, even after you have your service up and running, we're here working together to support you. So we have a cooperative support agreement in place between Asigra and NetApp. So you're not talking to two vendors. There's no finger pointing between us as vendors, right? We're working together. You call one of us, we'll figure out if it's a hardware problem or a software problem or something else that's related and resolve that for you. So again, it's really a holistic solution point of view that we're trying to deliver to service providers here. So, what are we really trying to focus on here at Asigra and in partnership with NetApp? We are truly focused on the business outcomes. I mean, yes, we are technology companies, but really we know that as a service provider, you care about your business, and we want our business to be in alignment with your business. So we're here to help deliver a solution that's helping you drive profitability with a profitable cloud backup or data protection service. Also driving wallet share. We've talked to a lot of service providers where, yes, you know what, they already have customers in place. They already have multiple service offerings with those customers, but they need to gain some stickiness. They need to gain a little bit more wallet share to ensure these customers and reduce churn across their customer profiles. And we're also seeing a lot of success with service providers that we've worked with together that have some vertical segment expertise. What we know is in any type of marketplace, the specialists will always outperform the generalists. So again, this is an area that Asigra focuses on as well too, is ensure that we can align our vertical experts with your vertical experts to ensure we deliver the best solutions to whatever marketplace that you're going after. So just a little bit, I'm going to spend just a little bit of time on the technology, not a lot. One of the key things I have to highlight is, with Asigra, with NetApp, we are designed for service delivery. Multi-tenancy, that's very key. Whether you're supporting dozens or hundreds or even thousands of end customers, we're built to support that under a single platform and a single infrastructure. We're absolutely designed to be low touch, not just within the data center, within the data center that you're managing, but also with the end customer points as well. So you don't need to send technicians out to install or manage or maintain the end customer environments. It's built centralized operations, again, across thousands of customers, across different clouds even, so you could even have multiple clouds and then manage it through a single management interface. Billing, that's very important, obviously, as a service provider. We provide a very comprehensive billing module that you could bill customers with different time schedules, with different billing scales, different ways to calculate the billing and metrics associated with that, whether it be a flat rate or the amount of data stored or data being stored after compression and deduplication. A lot of flexibility with that, and further flexibility, we can integrate that to your existing billing systems. As we know, a lot of service providers today already have existing billing systems. Also, white label and wholesale. We see that as very important because a lot of the service provider partners we have today have a relatively large footprint in terms of their channel partners. So, having the ability to push out their service offering to their channel partners in a very simplified manner, ability to rebrand and white label the solution, wholesale capacity to channel partners is very important as well. And at the end of the day, we're really trying to deliver a flexible and scalable solution, both from a technology standpoint as well as a business standpoint. So we're flexible enough to really meet the market demands and your business demands with data protection as a service. So a couple other things here around the backup technology within the Asigra software is really our capability to protect any type of device, application, or platform. And what I mean is, everything within your data center, whether it be your Oracle, your Exchange, your VMware, all these platforms are supported within Asigra. But we also support everything down to your Androids and iOS and your Windows 7, your MacBooks and whatnot. So we really provide the complete spectrum of application and platform support. And what does that really mean for you as a business or as a service provider that's trying to deliver a service as a business? Well, we're really trying to provide a holistic solution for you to address all different types of marketplaces. And I know a lot of service providers do provide services into multiple market segments, such as the mid-market and enterprise, the small, medium business. We talked a little about that in Brian's presentation, as well as the consumer business. Now, all these different market segments can be addressed. All these portions can be aggregated and managed through a wholesale channel through our solution. And then all this is unified through a single platform in the back end for service delivery operations in the cloud. So, and when I say this, when I say unified, I'm not just talking about the backup infrastructure, the software and the hardware. I'm also talking about the management interface. Again, managing your capacities, managing the different cloud infrastructure. So it's, again, this is the holistic view of how you get increase your total addressable market and manage it in an efficient manner. So, in summary, really, the key things that we're trying to help you address is really to stop making some of these mistakes that some other service providers have run into. No more competing on price, because you have the ability to differentiate your offerings and address multiple market segments and maximize your addressable market. No more losing control because we provide an automated software interface and hardware within provisioning, low-touch operations at the customer service, and a solution that's really yours. So you don't need to worry about other service offerings that you might need to resell or whatnot. Again, we believe we've built the best technology for the cloud, so no longer are you using technology that is not built for a cloud. Asigra, as I said, has been doing this for 25 plus years. NetApp has been in the cloud business for quite some time. So we really believe we have the best-in-class solution for the cloud here. Burdening the risk, I think this is one of the key points. We're here, again, not as a vendor. We're here to help you build your service, from implementing the solution, from rolling out the service, to growing that service from a monthly, annual basis. We have a team that's there to support you. And that's why we believe, Asigra and NetApp, we're the right partners for you to work as a service provider who's looking to deliver cloud backup and data protection services. We both have comprehensive partner programs that really try to address some of these areas. So we've got a couple more slides here with Mark at NetApp that we will pass it on to. So let me give Mark control here, and he could review some things that NetApp has to offer here.
Great, Doug. Thank you very much. And let me go ahead and talk to you a little bit about NetApp and what NetApp brings to the table. And for those of you who are not familiar with NetApp, we're a large publicly held storage company, and we offer a broad portfolio of solutions that help you store, maintain, protect, and serve data. That's what we're all about. As a large company, we've got some really great relationships with some of the industry leaders, such as Asigra. So we work very closely with them to put together integrated solutions like the one we're discussing today for data protection as a service to help you maximize your results. And when we talk about maximizing results and building a profitable service platform, there's really some components here that play a big factor in this. The first one is being able to outpace your competition. And what I mean by this is being able to streamline the deployment of new services, such as a data protection as a service. And we help you with that by having a ready-to-deploy service that Asigra and NetApp have worked on together. We've tested it, we've designed, we have the design documents for you. We've got, in essence, a turnkey solution for you to help you get to market faster. And then also, because of the efficiencies of NetApp offers in the data center itself, helps you reduce your costs. So this enables you to maximize your margin and still have price parity with the other vendors out there. When you build for the cloud, this is really important. As Doug mentioned, a lot of the technology out there wasn't necessarily designed for the cloud. And so you could run into some challenges if you're not building a solution if you're not building on a solution that was designed for the cloud. So with NetApp, we've got the best of breed technologies here, as well as the partnerships with some of these key data center vendors like Cisco on the networking side, and we've got supported configurations, and you know it's going to work. I mean, all of these other big data center vendors, they build their products specifically to work with NetApp. And then finally, we really help you grow your business faster. For example, you can start with a data protection as a service on the NetApp platform as the underlying storage, and then move that into some other services that you can add right on top, sharing multiple workloads on the same platform. So there's three things that we do. We help you outpace the competition. We help you build for the cloud so you can grow and scale, and also grow your business faster by having a clear roadmap of additional services to add on, as well as what Doug mentioned as far as the partner approach. We are a partner with you. This is the way that we design our business to operate. And let's talk about that for just a moment. Our objective as NetApp is to help our resellers and our partners, and we include service providers as our partners, to satisfy the demand of the end customers, the consumers of the storage. And we do this by working through our technology service providers and partners rather than trying to do this ourselves. NetApp does not want to be a service provider. We don't want to compete with you. We will not become a service provider. We win when you win. And that's our number one objective, is to make sure that you as a service provider can be successful and you win. One of the examples of such a victory would be a large service provider known as Terremark. And Terremark, they're a Verizon company now, and they provide managed hosting and co-location, networking, and security services around the globe. And they ran into a particular instance where their customers were asking them to deliver a backup and restore service, and they needed to put something together fairly quickly. They needed a service that they could both spin up quickly and something that was easy for them to go out and deliver and deploy to their subscribers, their customers. They ended up going with the Asigra NetApp solution that we discussed today, and the benefits for them have just been tremendous. They were able to really quickly grow their revenue. The administrative costs went way down as far as being able to deploy the solution, and spending some time with the guys at Terremark. They were just very happy with the way this worked out and how easy it was for them to add new customers internally for themselves, getting the new customers on board, the way that it integrated in with all of their billing tools and technologies. But they were also really happy with the way that the end customers were able to deploy themselves. And this is what Doug mentioned about the agentless technology. It really helped them speed through and get their customers on board fast and get their customers' data up into their data center very quickly. So it was a great success story. Terremark, great success story. So we're running out of time in this session. So I wanted to thank you all for joining us, and also wanted to now address some of the questions that we have. So the questions, we have a few of them that have come in. One of them was actually, Brian, I think this one's probably best for you. And the question is, does ESG see all the segments of the market adopting cloud-based backup at the same rate? So I think you talked about this a little bit, but I think what the question is asking here is are the SMBs and enterprise and large enterprise all looking at this at the same time? And what are the different benefits or the values for each one of these segments?
We do see similar adoption patterns, although the uptick on the small to mid-sized business has been a little bit greater. We think, just as the polling question pointed out, they have substantial administrative burden, and they're dealing with this data growth challenge. And I also pointed out we haven't really talked to one. We have quantitative data, and then when we communicate with them, they've all evaluated this because of the off-site benefit. Larger companies tend to have a disaster recovery or multi-site configuration, so the cloud, delivers different benefits to them, which is, they're looking at, peripheral applications that may not be protected. They need to up a service level. They may get to an application deployment quicker if they don't want to add it to the current backup schema. But I think small and mid-sized businesses is definitely by far looking at the data protection a little bit more closely, and they're more quick to adopt. There's less process overhead to sign up. Bigger companies tend to be more risk adverse to an extent. As far as the other question goes, the data protection value proposition, the other part of the question, the data protection value proposition is so substantial that it is, from a cloud standpoint, is so substantial. The ROI of not having to expand a current backup license agreement or buy a new system, as a target, or to have to learn a new product, those kind of things really add value to that small to mid-sized business to get the ROI up. That and, you shift from, there's a lot of people that like to shift to the operating expense line versus the capital investment line.
Great. Thanks, Brian. There's one more question here, and Doug, maybe you can take this one, or Brian, feel free to chime in as well. And this is with regards to security of moving data to the cloud. The question is, how are businesses overcoming the security concerns in moving data to the cloud? And Doug, I know that Asigra's got some security features built in. Maybe you could talk to that.
Yeah, and let me address it from a product standpoint, and maybe Brian could address it from an overall market standpoint. But I'll take a stab first from a product and solution standpoint. Yeah, absolutely. Security has always been a big challenge or a big barrier for a lot of people in terms of adopting the cloud. That being said, just reviewing the poll results here, in terms of from the audience here, no one actually voted for delivering a secure service as one of their challenges. So interesting enough, maybe we're starting to see the tides turn and the trend changing on this. From a solution and product standpoint, Asigra, has been well aware of this for many, many years. We leverage data encryption at the client side. So we actually provide encryption all the way up to 256 bits AES encryption, which is great, and a lot of vendors do that as well. But what we go above and beyond in terms of the security standpoint is we actually went through the efforts to get Asigra's software to be 140-2 certified. And FIPS 140-2 is a national certification by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So again, I think Brian alluded to that at the beginning of his presentation, as NIST is being one of the core government agencies that we refer to within the cloud infrastructure. So Asigra is one of the only solutions out there that have been certified by NIST with FIPS 140-2, which makes it, it basically means the government has certified our encryption and data security implementation in their software. Brian, you want to add anything about the overall trends around cloud security?
So all of these certifications that you brought up are tremendous steps. It still is the #1 impediment to adoption, but we're seeing it being overcome as folks provide data center audit capabilities. The SAS 70 and the derivatives of that are becoming more commonplace. I think the biggest thing that we get is geographical privacy concerns. So if you are operating a facility or if you're a customer in Europe, you obviously want to work with somebody that has a local data center there. That's so data doesn't cross boundary either for legal reasons or privacy concerns. I think for the most part, if you get over if the geography and some of the encryption capabilities and certifications can be achieved, we see customers getting, organizations getting over that hurdle much more fast than they did 2 years ago.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you, Brian. So we're at the end of our time slot for this webcast, but I wanted to let you know that if you would like to get more information, there's a few things that you can do. One, you can go to the NetApp page, and although the URL on this is pretty long, but you can navigate under the cloud solutions through the NetApp homepage at netapp.com and find all of our solutions for the cloud, including the solutions for, the joint solution with Asigra. Also encourage you to check out asigra.com, where you can download a variety of white papers and other informational assets that will help you learn a little bit more about what it takes to deploy data protection as a service. I'd like to thank Doug for joining us, and also Brian, and thank you all for joining us as well, and hope you have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day, people.